Do you know what one of the most requested videos has been for the past year, Patty?
I think I do.
What do you think it is?
How to set up your trailer.
It is, and you know what? We've tried this several times, but we finally did it. We now have a video for you on how we set up our camper when we get to a full hookup site, and we're going to show you in this episode of
Travels with Delaney.
All right, 3 tips when you're backing into your site. Number 1, I always stay as close to the side of the street, because that way when my car kicks out, I have plenty of room on the other side. Number 2, pull farther forward than what you think you need to pull forward. Number 3, just take your time. Don't worry if people are waiting on you, and because I know that always puts stress on. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get this backed in. Oh, number 4, turn your wheel the opposite way of which way you want your trailer to go. And don't worry if you don't get it in perfect the first time. Just go ahead and get it back on your site, and then you can always pull up and straighten out. Lots of slow movement, don't overturn. If you do, it'll, especially with these single axle trailers like we have, it will really kick out quick. And then what I do is once I get in, I'll go ahead and jump out and see where I'm at, and then we can make some final adjustments. So let's check it out. All right, once you're backed in, first thing we want to do is we want to check level from side to side, because once you unhitch, it's a real pain to correct this. So I just carry a small little level with me, set it across my tongue, and luckily here at Disney, the sites are really level, so we're not going to need to do anything. However, if we were a little off left or right, we use the Anderson leveling system. We just go ahead and throw that under a tire, either pull the trailer forward or back it up, and then throw that chuck on once we get to level. But we're good to go with left to right. Once you're good left to right, go ahead, grab your wheel chucks out. We're going to chuck the wheel so the trailer can roll, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing off of the forerunner. Because we're a single axle trailer, we just use the cheap wheel chunks. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to disconnect the electric brakes and light system. I'm going to go ahead and put my jack stand down. Now, I don't use an electric jack stand. I know a lot of people like them. We had one, and it was so slow that I decided I could actually crank quicker myself. Plus, it takes battery, and I don't know. I'm old-fashioned, I guess. For a trailer this size, I prefer just this type. Okay, let's go ahead and take our chains off and our emergency brake cable. Now, if you get into a situation like me where you can't get the chain off because you're locked, just leave it for a minute, and once we take some weight off the trailer, that pin will be able to spin. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take off my friction sway bar. I just removed the pin. I just stick the pin in like this, push it in, and I just allow it to sit here. And then I have one of these big cables that I bought at Eddie Bauer, of all places, an Eddie Bauer outlet. And what I do, I don't even take the whole thing off. I just leave it right on here, allow it to sit. And now, go ahead and start taking some of this weight off. And you'll see as I start taking weight off, that pin moves. Take the last chain off. There we go. Now, I use one of these locking pins. So we're going to go ahead and unlock the pin. assuming we can find the key. Okay. Go ahead that way. Then take the safety lock off. And here we go. We're going to crank it up. And once we're off, now I can go ahead and pull the Forerunner ahead to give me a little more space to work, and then we'll finish up setting up. Now that I've made some room for myself, what I want to do is, we know we're level from left to right. Now what I want to do is do front to back. Now, you can put a level many places on a trailer, and depending on how big your trailer is, but I usually just use the tongue here, and it looks like I need to crank down. Sometimes people will measure the floor in their trailer. In some, we've used the refrigerator as a leveling mark, but we found on this trailer, if we get the tongue level, we're good to go. And just kind of watching for that ball, and that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and put my ball lock on. I just bought this at a Menards. For those of you that don't have Menards in your area, think of it as like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. There's different locking devices you can actually get. Some are going to be more secure, but they're also more money. But we've had good luck with this one. And it just snaps on. And then, as added protection, I go ahead and put my pin lock back through, and we'll lock the pin. So if they want to steal it, they probably still can, but we're going to at least make them work for it. All right, now what I typically like to do next is I like to go ahead and get the electric going, because if it was really hot out, I'd want to get that AC going. So I'm going to grab my electric cable. And my surge protector. So what I like to do is turn the circuits off, and I plug in my surge protector, and then I'm going to flip that 30 amp back on, because that's what we operate off of. And we're good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and shut that back off to plug in my cable. Close that up, and we'll see if we can reach. Now, this is one of those cases where you might want to carry an extra electric cable, because depending on where the electricity is, it can sometimes be challenging. For us, it looks like we're going to be fine, but I do carry a 30 amp extension cord just in case. So I'm going to go ahead, plug. This one kind of locks into place. I'm going to screw it on. And now I'm going to go back to the breaker box to turn the power on now that we're completely hooked up. That's going to prevent any kind of surging to your trailer if there is an issue. And for you tab owners with the Aldi system, make sure you always have the Aldi off before you turn the power on, because that can potentially pop the fuses on the Aldi system. All right, next thing I'm going to do is, it's cool enough we don't need the AC, but normally I go and turn the AC on. Let's go ahead and get these jack stands down. Now you might say, why didn't you put your jack stands down first? Honestly, some of this stuff you can do in any order you want, but again, if it was really hot out, I'd want to get that AC going. Remember, your jack stands are not leveling devices. They're just mainly for stabilization. So don't try to crank them so hard that you end up bending them. And if you don't use a drill and you want to, check out our Amazon page and you can order this little socket that'll work for your jack stands. You can find that over at amazon.com/shop/travels with Delaney. Okay, next step. How about if we hook up the water and the sewer? All right, so I use one of these water filters. Now there's always a great debate on where do you put the water filter. Some people say they want it filtered right before it goes in the trailer. Other people want it filtered before it goes through the hose. I actually hook it up before the hose, right after the spigot. I'm just going to go ahead and screw in. So my filter's attached, and then I have a water pressure regulator, and I keep that right below. What I've found is I like having a little stronger pressure to push through the filter, and it seems to work good for us. I'm going to go ahead, hook up my fresh water hose, and this is a dedicated fresh water hose. We only use it for fresh water. And unlike the electric hookup, we don't have to go very far to hook up our fresh water. Now that noise you hear in the background is actually the Disney staff cleaning sites. Before anyone's allowed to check into a site here at Disney World, they actually clean every site, including blowing off the pad and straightening things up. It's one of the reasons it's an expensive site, because they really take care of their sites here. And now all I have to do is attach my hose to the city water connection on the trailer. Okay, now we're down to the sewer. Go ahead. I'm going to unscrew, and notice how nice these sewer hookups are here at Disney. But I'm just going to screw the attachment in. Attach this so it locks into place. Keep my caps right there. And let's go ahead and we're going to attach our sewer hose right there. Usually I just flop this over so I don't forget it. Now I will normally leave the black and the gray closed. You always want to leave your black closed until you're ready to dump. Now sometimes what we'll do is if we're going to be at a place for a really long time, I might go ahead and open the gray up, and then a day before we get ready to leave, I close it, because I always like to have some gray water in the tank so that when I flush my black after I'm done, I can have the gray come through and clean out my hose. In this case, though, we're going to be here for 3 nights and we boondock for the last 2, so I'm going to go ahead and open the gray up so we can get that cleaned out. Some people like to use the slinkies to guide on a downward slope. I don't have room to carry one, and honestly, I don't find them that effective for me personally. So what I will periodically have to do is just come out and raise up down here where there's a little bit of an incline, and it'll drain just fine. Go ahead and turn our water on so we have water in the trailer. Always make sure that you close all of your spigots. It's also a good idea to make sure you turn the right one on. One of the nice things is here at Disney, they actually provide you a hose so that you can wash your trailer, clean off the pad, that type of thing. Now, we are down to the final pieces of the setup. And depending on what trailer you own, this part's really going to vary. But now we start doing things like putting up our awning, getting out our chairs, and finishing up. So I hope this short video helps you out as far as how we go about setting up our campsite. We couldn't have picked a better day or a better place to do this video right here in wonderful Walt Disney World in Central Florida at the Fort Wilderness Campground. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you on down the road. Good night.